Good evening and welcome to True Encounters. I'm your host, Marvin Allen. As always, I want to apologize for not uploading my encounters on time. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, go and do so. So without further ado, we're going to jump into this first encounter. Now, in this encounter right here, it happened in New York, upper state. So this guy said he went to go stay with his friend in a cabin on a hunting retreat in the upper part of New York. They went out there, to go on hunt deer during the black powder season. So he said that night when he got up there, he stayed up kind of late because he wasn't really, sleepy. So he said right before he was about to go to bed, that's when he saw the security light, flick on. So he went to the window, to see, what turned it on, because it could have been an animal or something. That's what he thinking. So he said when he went to this window to see what it was, he said he saw these two large dogs on all fours. He said they had huge heads. He said, so after he was sitting there watching these large dogs, he said they started to, sniff the air. Now, mind you, he said early that day, they had put some hot dogs on the grill, because that's what they was cooking earlier that day. He said, so that's what must have drawed them down there, because they had got the smell, of those hot dogs that was still on the grill. He said, so after they was sniffing around for a few, he said one of these things did something that still haunts him to this day. He said this dog took his leg and it stretched it one leg out. Now, he said he in the house behind, looking out the window. He said when this thing stretched his leg out, he heard this loud popping sound. Bop! Said he heard it through the window. He said then he stretched its other leg out. Another popping sound. Bop! He said then this thing, it kind of rotated its shoulders and it made another popping sound. He said then this creature stood up bipedal on 2 feet. He said this thing was humongous. Long arms, gigantic head like a wolf. He said this thing body was cut up like a bodybuilder. It had the hands, it had the bent back legs. He said this thing had a bushy tail. He said so while he, sitting there and he watching this creature walks over to this tree. He said now in this tree, they had some urine up there, like for the deer, so they, to get the smell for the deers and stuff like that. He said this creature reached up and grabbed the bag what they had the urine in, ripped it open, it sniffed it. He said the creature kind of just shook his head, like side to side. He said then this creature took it and then threw that bag over at the cabin like it was pissed. It was mad. So now he's still watching this creature. He said, and after this creature threw that bag over at the cabin, he said that's when that creature looked over in his direction. And it locked eyes on him. It locked eyes straight on him. He said when that creature did that, he said that second creature stood up bipedal. Now, both of them watching him. Both of them is looking over right at him. He said they had these amber green colored eyes. Now, he said he just looking straight dead at him. He said now, this first creature, it walked over to where it threw that bag at, and it stood right in that window. He said that he was so scared that he didn't even move. This creature just constantly was piercing right through the window, like it was just looking right through him. I mean, he said it was just breathing real heavy. He said because he could just see his chest inflate in, out, in, out. He said then that second creature walked over to the window and it looked dead in the window at him. Now he said both of these creatures is looking right in the window at him. He said he was so scared he pissed on himself. He said he didn't know what to do. He said he couldn't move. He was froze. He said that's when he heard his homeboy call his name. And when he called his name, he said he snapped out of it, turned around, and said, I'm in here. He said, but when he turned around, he said those two creatures was gone. He said those two creatures was gone. So his friend said, what are you doing in here, standing at the window? He said, man, forget this hunting thing. I want to leave. In the morning, I just want to, pack up and we just leave. He said, why? What happened? He said, I don't want to talk about it. So that was, the encounter. It wasn't real long, but that happened up in upstate New York, So I hope y'all like it, Let me know if I can do something different, if y'all want me to tell any other encounters that y'all already heard and y'all would like for me to tell it, then send me a message, so I know. So let's get right back into this other encounter. Now, this encounter right here, this happened in Texas. Now, the lady didn't give me the location, so I didn't push for her, to tell me where it was at and all that stuff, But it happened in Texas. And the name I'm going to use for her is Judy. Now, Judy said that she was in a house one night and she was bored. And she said usually when she get bored, she usually just go jump in her car and she go for a ride. So Judy said she go get in her car and, she started driving. Now, she said on any other night when she driving, she would see deer, rabbits, possums, raccoons. She would see all type of animals. She said, but this particular night, she didn't see nothing. Dead quiet. She didn't see no animals at all. And she said you couldn't even hear a sound. She said, so she kept on driving. So she said after about 15 minutes, she said she came to this animal that was in the middle of the road. So she said while she was driving, the lights hit it. And when the lights hit it, she could see the little sparkle in this thing eye. And she said this thing was eating on a dead raccoon. She said now she stopped about 30 feet from this creature because she said it looked like a dog because it was down on all fours. Now she watching this creature. So she said as she's watching this creature, she said this creature turns and it looks at her. Then it moves to the left. It took a few steps to the left. And then it quickly went back over. Now, when it went back over, she said this creature reached down with its mouth and grabbed that raccoon by its mouth and took it. And then it walked over on all fours to the right. Now, on the right side of this road, she said it's a fence over there. Now, she said that this fence that was over there had to be about at least 6 feet. She said when this creature got over there to this fence, she said this creature then stood up on its hind legs. And when it stood up on its hind legs, now mind you, it still got this raccoon in its mouth. She said it stood up on its hind leg, it turned again, and it faced her. Now she looking dead at this thing. Now she could see it. She said this thing had the gigantic head, it had shoulders, the long arms, and it had hands with like an extendable thumb. And it had the bent back legs. She said, but this thing didn't have a tail. She said, so why this thing just looking at her with this raccoon still in its mouth? She said it then turned and it took one leap, and it jumped that 6-foot fence onto the other side. And she said when it landed over on the other side, she said when it went over and crouched down by these weeds and these bushes. It crouched down right there behind it. But she said she could still see this thing because the ears is sticking straight up on it. So she said that she curious because now she don't believe what she saw. She think her eyes playing tricks on her. So she said she gets out her car, grab the flashlights, and she walks over. Not too far, but she walks to where that light can hit this creature. She said so when she shined the light over where the weeds and the bushes was at, she hits those eyes and she see that reflection. She said then this creature stood up and it started growling. It was a low, guttural growl. She said, but she could feel it. She could feel the power of this thing. She said when this thing growled at her, she still was standing there with that light. She said that's when this creature took steps and then walked. Now, mind you, it's walking down that side where that gate at to where she at. She said when that thing started walking down there in her direction, she ran, jumped, got in her car, and she got out of there. Now, that was her sighting. She said that was her first and only encounter that she ever had. So, I hope y'all like it. Give me some feedback. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then do so. Let me know what I can do different to make this a little better, more interested in. And I'll see y'all next time. Good night.